Todd Rosenbluth, why do I want to own the Pimco Total Return ETF?
Well, as people know, it's managed by Bill Gross from Pimco Total Return. It's a cheaper alternative to the mutual fund. It launched in March at 55 basis points and is attracting some assets. So people who want to get in and get out and have exposure to the Pimco Total Return Fund, it's a good way to play it.
Well, why would you want to trade this particular type of fund? And what are the differences between the ETF and the mutual fund other than the cost?
Right, so I mean the cost is one aspect of it, but an ETF has to disclose its holdings on a daily basis, whereas a mutual fund doesn't have to do so, and so Pimco Total Return discloses full holdings, the mutual fund, on a quarterly basis. So you know more information about what Bill Gross and team are doing through the ETF, so the transparency is better, the cost is a little bit better, and but the downside is that they can't use derivatives through the ETF the way that they can through a mutual fund. So it is not an apples to apples comparison, and so you don't want to just rely on the mutual fund's track record to help you do the assessment of the ETF.
Well, speaking of Bill Gross's track record, last year he didn't have a great year because he was wary of treasuries, and treasuries did awfully well last year. What's your view of Bill Gross in 2012? Can he get the momentum back?
Yeah, I mean, the fund has got the mutual fund has a great long-term track record, a 10-year record that's in the top quartile of our peer group at S&P Capital IQ. But as you mentioned, it was a down year in 2011. That hurt the fund, that hurt its performance, and that actually hurt its ranking in our approach. So you need to really take into account where do you think the market is going to go, and do you think that Bill Gross and team have the right approach where they're currently situated? They currently have a bit of a shorter-term duration bent with the portfolio, and we think that may be appropriate in this kind of environment.
And how much of one's portfolio should they put in this vehicle? I mean, Bill Gross is great, but how much money do you want to put in this ETF?
Well, I think you need to decide how much you want in fixed income exposure. You want to have that balance with your equity and your fixed income exposure, but you also want to understand that this is just a new ETF. This isn't the only ETF in the marketplace. Vanguard has fixed income ETFs. iShares has fixed income ETFs that have longer track records, that have more assets behind it. This is only 3 weeks old, the Pimco Total Return ETF, so we would not be putting anything into it. We think people should pay a little more attention, understand what's inside it before acting at this point.
Thanks a lot. This market is
stock pickers market.
Stocks have rallied this year.
We're coming into a Monday where we're going to